let's pull up the first graphic here, just so we'll do the exact same way. I want to hear your thoughts here on their stats. What you think, just off the top of your head?
Man, last year I was hurt. I was hurt the same way that the entire Denver Broncos organization was hurt. This team had so much promise, and honestly, I feel bad because both of us have the same win-loss projection record, and I feel bad because if I could take my same mindset and apply that to this year, they would crush their over. They would be ready to take that next step. Drew Lock would be the guy with a Cortland Sutton and a Jerry Jeudy, and we finally get to see Bradley Chubb and Von Miller and all of these great pieces work together. Patrick Surtain in secondary, I think he's going to be a great addition there. It is a good team. I'm worried about the offense, though. I don't believe in Drew Lock as much anymore. I'm not saying that I'm done on him, but I think that this is not your year, and you have two teams in your division who are competing for it to be their division and their year.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I don't know where you get breathing room.
You look at these stats and you look at their numbers from last year. Yeah, he Drew Lock threw the most interceptions per throw of any quarterback in the NFL. The 32nd worst is last.
4% of the time.
4% of the times that the Broncos threw a pass, it was an interception. That's ridiculous. That's not a number you want to see. Completion percentage, 31% of the time. And listen, these numbers can always be skewed. No, you look at the NFL and you look at football specifically. I just don't think that. I think it's harder with football than any other sport to really break down the numbers because there's so many other factors.
The fact that Drew Lock did get hurt too.
Yeah. The fact that Drew Lock was hurt, I was just about to say that. He had the shoulder injury that definitely impeded him. When he was out on the field, he was trying to win games. And you know, I look at the Phillip Rivers a little bit. Phillip Rivers has a lot of interceptions in times where it's like, okay, I'm not mad at Phillip Rivers for throwing an interception. He was trying to make a play and it didn't work out.
Criticize the gunslinger.
Now, granted, there were two games in the middle of last year that were just unforgivable, and there's no way to describe any. You know, I can't look at some of his interceptions and give you a reason why it happened, but I certainly can for others. But completion percentage, a lot of that can have to do with the fact that you're throwing it down the field, maybe more, and you're not getting those easy passes. But again, I'm creating excuses for a quarterback I still love, so I do apologize. I do think it was interesting. You know, opposing yards per rush. 29th in the league, so their defensive line was doing things. I mean, they did have pieces there. I know they only won 5 games, but they certainly showed up at times when I don't think anyone expected them to. Their defenses, I think, is better than people expect.
Their defense is
good. A stat that I really do think points to how smart a coach is, or how well coached a team is penalties per play, and how often does a team make mental mistakes. 6th in the NFL in penalties, so that's a really good stat, and that speaks to, like, I still really like their coaching staff. I still really like Vic Fangio and what he's doing, and I do believe, even though he is on the hot seat and he might not be here next year, and I don't know whether one way or the other if he is. Honestly, I don't know if we're exactly right and they win 7 games. Is that enough to keep his job?
That's the problem, is that, like you said, when you look at that, it's all about being under the microscope. It's all about looking at those 7 wins and saying, okay, where did it go wrong? Where are there some injuries that led that? Because I know for a fact, Denver was this team last year who made headlines for having a guy who had never played quarterback in the NFL ever, and then he wasn't able to complete a pass. I can't even remember the guy's name. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they had the wide receiver playing quarterback that one game. Yeah, it was bad.
They were hurting. They were hurting on all fronts, everywhere. They had Jerry Jeudy, who wasn't able to get familiar with all the different quarterback play, and also having to be the one instead
when
of
he wasn't supposed to be. He was supposed to be Cortland Sutton.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Cortland Sutton, I'm still very, very high on. I'm still waiting to see him get that big step in production, because last year I had him as easy 1,500 yards. I thought he was going to be like the number 3 overall wideout statistically. Yeah. Both of us did. He was going to be really good. Let's see that happen this year. Let's see the defense do it. But Broncos fans or whoever this may reach out that you think that John and I might be a little low, just go look at the schedule, man. It's hard.
It is a rough schedule.
It's hard to piece it together.
Yeah, especially when it's like, okay, we think the Chargers are going to be good. Obviously, Chiefs.
Well, this team also lines up against the AFC North.
Yeah.
So you got the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns.
Yeah, that's just tough when you think all of them are going to be good. Yeah, no, it really is tough, and I know I struggle with this, with kind of breaking it down and breaking their grades down. Yeah, 8.5 is a lot of wins this year. It really is for them. Looking at the biggest changes they made in the offseason, brought in a Kyle Fuller, brought in a Ronald Darby, and obviously drafted Patrick Surtain. They really did attack the cornerback room, which I certainly think was a smart move.
Yes.
Hopefully. And Vic Fangio, I think it does really good with the pieces he has. So you improve those those pieces, things are only going to get better. Really, you look at his tenure everywhere he's been, the defense consistently gets better year over year. I expect that to be the case for the Broncos this year. I do think their defense is going to be good. I have one question, and I hedged my bets in this, but like I genuinely could see them going double digits. Like I hate my projection for this team probably more than any other one that I'll have, because I still believe in Drew Lock, and I do expect him to have an upgraded year.
That's what I was saying.
But
yes.
You never know. They did trade for a Teddy Bridgewater to compete with Lock. There's a reason for that. Like there's a reason we're hearing all these rumors about Aaron Rodgers.
Style quarterbacks, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think the best case for a scenario for Locke is that Bridgewater instills a little bit of, hey, you don't have to go for a touchdown every single play.
Yeah.
You can check it down. You can play things smart. I know you played him like everywhere you've played, you felt like you had to win the game every single play, and you just don't. And to be honest, you're not Patrick Mahomes. You can't do it every single play. So I think that would be probably good for him. Bridgewater could maybe calm him down and be that like really good veteran leadership that Locke needs. I believe that's why they brought him in, even more than competing for him, even though that is that's what we're hearing, is that there's a competition, open competition. I just don't see any way Locke loses that. I think he's very clearly a more physically gifted player.
Yeah.
It just depends on if he can put it all together. Bridgewater obviously makes better decisions on a consistent basis. So you kind of have to balance that out and see which one wins. I also did think it was really interesting. They bring in a Javonte Williams, actually traded up ahead of the Dolphins to grab a Javonte Williams and replace an aging Melvin Gordon. I apologize. See, I do it all the time. I don't know what it is about those two. It's literally spelled out on the computer in front of me. I'm still saying Ingram. Traded up for to replace that Melvin Gordon, and I think Javonte Williams will be one of the better fantasy options. I think he's in a prime spot to be a really, really good piece. Man, it's just so interesting. This team has the most wide variety of outcomes, and like I said, I just don't know what to expect.
Really is a high window. There's a swing in my head where I could see them going 7-10. I could see them repeating last year off of a 5-win thing, saying that some of these injuries, but we don't look at it for that. So yeah, there's a chance they could get 10 too.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, though. People forgot Von Miller, how big of a force he is. We've just been handing Defensive Player of the Year to Aaron Donald. I'm sure we'll do that again this year, but Von Miller is very much so a force. I know he's older.
Just to be clear, we're not handing it to him. He's certainly earning it.
No.
I just want to make sure people understand.
It's just when you look at it, it's like, it's his.
He's the guy. Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Exactly.
Even though last year there was some debate.
Yeah.
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. Oh, dude, yeah. All right, and the last thing I want to say about this, and we're kind of going in a little different direction. I always really like to look at like the first month of a team's schedule, and be honest, if I see a bunch of losses in the first month, first 6 weeks, it really affects the coin flip games later on in the season for me. Just because when you look at those losses early, it destroys your mentality.
People have a pull the plug mentality,
but flip it around, you get some wins under your belt early for a young, unproven football team. It can give you some confidence later in the year. I see a world where they go 3-0 to start the season. Giants, Jags, Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, Giants, Jags, Jets, all three of those games winnable.
Those are all
now, and we actually agree on how that's going to play out. You gave them an L to the Giants and a win to the Jacksonville and Jets. I think it goes the exact same way. But that Giants game is certainly winnable, in my opinion.
Oh, very much so.
So
that's just both of us buying into the Joe Judge tea right now.
For sure, absolutely. So I just like to look at that with those wins. Hey, maybe they do get a little bit of confidence. Maybe they go into Baltimore winning 3 games and shock the world. Maybe even if they don't do that, they can go into Pittsburgh after that and put up some wins. Get Pittsburgh, get the Raiders, get the Browns.
Well, the whole point in saying is that if you're a 7-win football team, you take some of these coin flips.
Yes.
There's a world. Yeah.
There's absolutely a world where it flips around. I don't know. Again, I'm low. I'm certainly, we both are. We're certainly below the projected win total.
We're both sad that we're low.
And I would not bet it. I really wouldn't, because I don't want to see them lose. And to be totally fair, the same argument applies. I could see Drew Lock struggling. I could see Bridgewater struggling, and it being lower than 7 wins too. There's a lot of range of outcomes here.
There is.